All right, for our last of our three measures of central tendency, we have the modes. We've done the mean, we've done the median, and now the mode. Mode, literally it means fashion, what's in fashion, but in this case, mode just means most. So all we have to do for a mode, to determine a mode, is simply look for what score is most frequently occurring. This is super simple to do if our data is already in a frequency distribution table. You go down the frequency column to see what the most frequent value is, and then go over and say, oh, well, that's the score. But in this case, we've got some raw scores. It's best to organize them first. I pre-organized, so I could have written this up randomly and then sequenced it. And all we're looking for is what score do I see the most of? Well, there's 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 7, 3 10s, a 12 and a 16. So the mode is 10. Just like the median, there's no symbol for it other than the word. So there's no Greek symbol, no letter from the alphabet. We just say mode. So the mode is 10 points. That's all there is to it. It's as simple as that, usually. Now, it can get a little bit different. Let's say now I've got 3 2s and 3 10s. There's a tie. The mode is the only measure of central tendency that can have more than one correct value. Any set of data that can only be one mean, any set of data that can only be one median, but any set of data there can be more than one mode, like we see right here. We've got our 3 2s and our 3 10s. So this is what we would technically call a bimodal distribution. You saw a graph back in chapter 1 or 2. I can't remember now. I think it was 2. But it looked like that camelback had the kind of a double lump in it. That's a bimodal distribution. So we can have a single mode. We can have bimodal distributions too. There could be a three-way tie. If there's a three-way tie, if I added more 16s over here, for example, now there's 3 2s, 3 10s, and 3 16s, we would call that, that's a trick question. It's just called multimodal. Mode, bimodal, multimodal. You might want to say trimodal, but people just say multimodal after 2. So we can have 1, 2, 3. We can have as many modes as there are tied scores for the most frequently occurring score. The catch here, though, really is that, I mean, think about it. Out of this, we got 3, 6, 9, 12 scores up there. And out of those 12 scores, all of them but 3 are the mode. Remember, what this is supposed to be is telling us where is the center of the data. Well, if everywhere is the center, nowhere is the center. If the center is 2 and 10 and 16, what do we know about the data? Not a whole lot. It's not as clear in terms of central tendency because there's 3 centers, low and medium and high, and that's a mess. Now, sometimes you will hear researchers use the terms major mode and minor mode. So I'm going to take these 16s back off of here, just 1 16. And I'm going to take one of the 2s off of there. So the mode is back to 10. But there's another score that's almost the mode. It's almost as frequently as the 10s. So in a case where you have one clear mode and you have a strong second place contender, we would say that 10 is the major mode and that 2 is the, minor mode. Oh, I didn't finish writing that. Minor mode. So you can have major modes, minor modes. It's all a little bit technical for a very simple measure of central tendency. So you don't find a lot of people really bother with major modes and minor modes. You really have to have a good reason. If there's a clear mode and another one that's clearly head and shoulders beyond the other scores, but not quite the mode, that might be important to note. Like, look, there was another really strong set of scores here in terms of how frequently they occur. You might want to denote that as a minor mode. But you don't see that in published research that often. That's all there is to the mode. Organize them and figure out what score do I see the most of. That's the mode. Simple, simple. So what we move to from here towards wrapping this chapter up ultimately is, I said at the top of this chapter, the mean is the most frequently used measure of central tendency. It's the most useful for statisticians most of the time. So if the mean is the default position, why would you ever use a median or a mode instead? So that's what we're going to address next. We'll see you there.